In the morning, Esh heard the giant Veho gun booming like thunder, signaling that everyone should gather for the council. Everyone but Esh. All day long, he had to stay within sight of his mother or white cow woman. Worst of all, the boys he'd thought were his friends did not come looking for him. In the evening, Esh's father, his grandfather, and the other men talked about the council. The Bluecoats wanted one man to speak for each tribe, which made no sense to anyone but the Veho. They wanted all the tribes to make peace with each other and to agree on the territories they claimed, which the Veho promised never to invade. In exchange, the Bluecoats promised each tribe gifts from their great father in the east. They would provide these gifts for 50 summers, as long as the Veho wagons could travel to the west without trouble. Esh's father argued that no amount of tobacco, coffee, or sugar would ever be enough payment for what the Veho had already taken. Before the cramping sickness, Esh and his friends had ridden out and marveled at the great medicine trail. They delighted in the strange objects the Veho left behind at each camping place, heavy things of wood and metal whose purpose they could only guess. Esh found a cooking pot his mother was happy to have, and Meanev liked the bits of broken plate he brought her. The pieces were white, painted with blue, and she fashioned them into earrings. But the Veho left behind other things, too. The carcasses of buffalo and of their own animals who'd fallen down dead from exhaustion. On either side of the trail, the Veho and their living animals took and took. They chopped down trees and devoured grass like swarms of locusts. Earlier that summer, returning from a hunt, Esh's father and his brother Hakot had caught Veho destroying 2 funeral scaffolds for firewood. They scared off the Veho and laid the bodies to rest in a cave. Esh had never seen his father and brother so angry. Someone had named it the Great Medicine Trail as a dark joke, to acknowledge how the Veho were changing the land. Once, there had been waving prairie grass along the Moonshell River, grass that had fed countless animals who fed the people and their allies. Now, there was only a vast swath of bare earth along the river. Nothing would grow on this broad path because it had been trampled by so many feet and hooves. At the slightest wind, a dust cloud would swirl up to sting your eyes and clog your throat and nostrils. A dust cloud made more of dried dung than of earth. The longer his father and the other men talked about the Veho, the longer Esh had to remain near his lodge like a captive, the more he stared at his yellow hair. His mother said he'd loved to watch himself in a mirror when he was little. Now he could not bear the sight. Sometimes the other boys called him Toadbelly because of his pale skin. Esh wished a rattlesnake had bitten this Veho body and killed it on Painted Rock, so his soul could keep looking for a proper body. He should find a rattlesnake tomorrow and ask it to bite him, so he could come back as a true tzitzistas. He'd come back before. He could do it again. But wouldn't he have to return as a baby, since all of the older tzitzistas' bodies already had souls? He didn't want to be a baby again. Instead of the same age, he'd be 10 winters younger than Meanev, and then she'd never want to marry him. As if she knew he was thinking about her, his friend sat down beside him, beneath the brush arbor his mother had made. Esh smiled in surprise. "We smoked the pipe with the Sosonnet today," Meanev told him. "Did you ever think it could happen? We adopted some of their children and they adopted some of our children. I have a Sosonnet brother now." "Did you see the black robe?" "Up close. He is rather fat, but he is kind. He speaks a little tzitzistas. He sprinkled water on me and my new brother." "Water?" Esh wondered. "Why?" "It was some kind of blessing," Meanev shrugged. "Mother said it would be rude to refuse. Look what I got from a bluecoat." She shook some sort of flat leaves from a little container with shapes and people painted on both sides. "You play games and gamble with them. I can teach you." Esh decided that being a captive was not so bad when he had Meanev for company. She did not seem to mind that he looked like a Veho.